Hello, you're watching Geek News.
Let's be honest, we all feel like it's 2018 again. Marvel is tearing it up at San Diego with announcements of Avengers and the Russo brothers back in the director's chairs, and Robert Downey Jr. is once again stealing the spotlight. Honestly, it'd be great if the rest of life could go back to 2017 too. But for now, let's take it slow and break down what Marvel's latest reveal really means, just like in the good old 2017 style. Over the next few minutes, we're gonna break down this Judgment Day according to the MCU. Think about which version of Doctor Doom Robert Downey Jr. might be playing, and what the storyline could look like. Meanwhile, we're counting on you to drop a nostalgic like and some positive vibes in the comments. 5 years ago, when we dissected Endgame, we said that as soon as Marvel hit hard times, Downey and Evans would be back. Then, when Downey won his Oscar, we dropped a video saying he's proved his point and his MCU comeback is a done deal. Well, here we are. Everything's lined up perfectly, even cooler than we thought. Not only is Downey back in the iron suit, but he's taken on a new role as the main villain of the multiverse saga, Victor Von Doom. That's the first major takeaway. While it hasn't been explicitly stated anywhere, considering Downey's caliber, it's pretty clear that Jonathan Majors' Kang has been swapped out for him. In a way, you've got to feel for Majors. Feige pulled off this move so cleanly that even the most die-hard fans barely remember Kang now. There's no longer any debate in the fandom about whether Majors should return or if Sydney Sweeney should take over as Kang. Everyone's hyped about Robert stepping in as a threat on the level of Thanos. For now, Downey is only confirmed for Doomsday, but it's obvious he'll be calling the shots in Secret Wars too. After all, with the Russo brothers directing and the villains spanning 2 Avengers movies, this is their signature style. Sure, there are issues with this approach, but we'll circle back to that later. For now, let's talk about the second major point. We still don't know which Doctor Doom Robert will be playing, and this is where things get really interesting for the plot of the next Avengers film because there are 3 potential scenarios. First up, a completely fresh character from scratch. The most obvious and predictable outcome, Marvel could show us the backstory of Victor Von Doom. Parents are gypsies traveling through Latveria. Mom's a sorceress with ties to Mephisto. Dad dies of cold. Victor grows up, becomes a tech genius, studies alongside Reed Richards. And really, you should check out our dedicated video on the character for the full breakdown. What's important here is that this entirely new story has to be set up somewhere. It wouldn't feel right to drop Doomsday without giving Victor's backstory first. Marvel spent years building up Thanos after all. Sure, they could go all out, but it'd be better to introduce Doom somewhere else first. And here's where the MCU faces a fork in the road. There's a perfect spot for it in Captain America 41, which will feature a political war over vibranium. Victor, as the king of Latveria, is a politically charged figure, always winning spy games in the comics. So it's possible he'll be pulling the strings behind the New World Order, grabbing adamantium, celestial secrets, and pushing forward to the next Avengers. But here's the kicker. Doom would look way too much like Tony Stark, so either Marvel glosses over it or throws in some cheeky one-liners. Not to mention, Core Cap 4 is on its 10th reshoot by now. Without some kind of soap opera level drama, like Tony and Victor Stark's long-lost twin sons, this plot won't make sense. So from a broader storytelling perspective, it'd be easier to dive into the multiverse. After all, in other worlds, Johnny Storm looks like the MCU's Captain America, so the whole resemblance issue goes away. Plus, Fantastic Four starts filming any day now, making it the perfect movie to tease Doom and build hype for the next Avengers. Honestly, it's a safe bet that Robert will be playing Doom in the Fantastic Four universe. But there's more to it. Instead of an entirely new villain, Marvel could go with a trick from the comics. There's an alternate universe called Earth 11 and 29, where Tony Stark and Doctor Doom swapped minds. This would kill all the they look alike complaints and give the Russo brothers room for a massive plot twist. They could reveal the mind swap towards the end of Secret Wars. Now for the third and final option, Doctor Doom taking up the mantle of Iron Man, as he did in the infamous Iron Man comic after Tony was knocked out post-battle with Captain Marvel. There's a crazy amount of room for references here. Let us know in the comments which of these theories you're vibing with the most, and we'll get back to the plot. with Secret Wars. It's pretty straightforward. In the comics, Doom stole the Beyonder's power, enough to rip Thanos to shreds and keep his skeleton as a souvenir. Doom became a god, ruling the last remnants of the multiverse. He was so powerful, even Doctor Strange was working as his sidekick sheriff, and Thor was running around as the police force. Contrary to popular belief, Doom wasn't really the villain of Secret Wars. He actually saved what little remained of the multiverse. He could have let everything die. Sure, he ruled with an iron fist, but that's a whole different story. In the end, the surviving heroes and villains teamed up to overthrow him. Expect something similar in the movies. It's fascinating because in the comics, the line between good and evil is totally blurred. We're looking at a potential remake of Downey's battle with Thanos, except this time, Thanos might be the underdog and sort of the hero. But what's even more intriguing is what Marvel is gonna show us in Avengers 5/7, aka Doomsday. Unlike Infinity War or Secret Wars, there isn't a single clear-cut comic for adaptation here. Well, there is, but it's not quite right. Doomsday in 2011 was about the Fantastic Four and other heroes uniting to stop someone from destroying the multiverse one world at a time. Turns out it's Reed Richards who's gone rogue. Honestly, they could tweak this for the MCU. Swap out Reed for Doom, throw in some incursions from Doctor Strange 2/6, make Doom the villain trying to wipe out the multiverse, and give us an Infinity War style ending where the heroes lose and boom, it's on. But there's one problem. This would paint Doctor Doom as a straight up bad guy, hellbent on destroying the multiverse. That's not who Doom is. The Beyonders were doing the destroying, and Doom, after stealing their power, was trying to save it. That's the key to his character. He's a layered dude. Doom's got both massive pride and a genuine desire to make the world better. He's not like Thanos, who just woke up one morning and decided to wipe out half the universe. Doom is actually a hero who saved something from Marvel's total destruction. There's even talk that the MCU wants to make Downey's character just as morally gray, a guy who's both a hero and a villain at the same time. That's why a plot where Doom wipes out the multiverse in Avengers 5 feels too heavy-handed. The Russo brothers get this, and fans aren't gonna give them a pass for just copying Infinity War's heroes lose angle. Doomsday will probably draw from another storyline, maybe even Time Runs Out, which we've been hyping for ages. It's about the multiverse falling apart, with heroes from different worlds coming together to save it, all while bickering over how to do it. Doom might be one of those heroes for most of Avengers 5 race you, only to snatch up the power at the end, and just like in the comics, create Battle World and kick off Secret Wars. And even if Marvel chooses a different plot, don't be surprised if Doctor Doom is initially portrayed as a hero rather than a villain. It's just because the character is so complex. Overall, it's gonna be super interesting, but let's be honest, it's a little scary. Marvel decided that Thanos would be the villain of the Infinity Saga 7 years before Infinity War. Now, they're completely flipping the script less than 2 years before Avengers 5. Downey Jr., the Russo brothers, and Stephen McFeely are strong reasons to believe it'll turn out great, but it's also understandable that fans are calling it a farce. The announcement seemed like a full-on admission by Kevin Feige of the incompetence of Phase 4 and tossing the entire multiverse saga in the trash. Instead, it's fan service, Downey's return, and an attempt to recreate the old magic. Many are worried that they won't hit the nostalgia sweet spot and that the movies will just be a blatant cash grab. However, we don't agree with that perspective. First off, everyone, including the Russo brothers, is human. We'd bet anything that they've been keeping an eye on the MCU and discussing how they'd handle things during the 5 years since the end. So thinking that they're starting from scratch is a clear mistake. The Russo brothers likely had story outlines long ago, and now they just need to refine them. Robert Downey Jr. has probably been mulling over Tony Stark, Marvel, and what comes next all these years. He's an incredible actor, as proven in Oppenheimer, so there'll be minimal issues with his portrayal of Doctor Doom. What's really funny is the so-called comic book fans who are against Marvel playing on nostalgia. To those so-called comic fans, we'd suggest they actually read some comics, because for decades, comics have thrived on popular characters dying and then making epic comebacks, dying again, resurrecting, turning into villains, and so on. The real issue is that Marvel decided that movie comics are high art, needing fresh faces and stories. That's a load of crap, because superhero stories, whether in comics or movies, are all about the same beloved characters. So bringing back Robert Downey Jr. and the Russo brothers is, from a comic book perspective, totally canonical. And on that note, we'll wrap it up. We'd love to hear your thoughts and speculations in the comments. See you next time, folks.